The day I found out my husband Aiden was cheating was the day my world shattered. But it was also the day I started to find myself again. We had been married for 5 years, living what I thought was a picture-perfect life. We had a beautiful home, great jobs, and were even talking about starting a family. Aiden was my rock, my best friend, the person I told everything to. Or so I thought. It started with small things. Late nights at the office became more frequent. He was more protective of his phone, always keeping it face down. When I asked, he'd just say work was stressful. I wanted to believe him. I mean, this was Aiden, the man who wrote me poems and brought me breakfast in bed. Cheating was something that happened in movies, not to us. But a knot of anxiety began to form in my stomach, a persistent gnawing feeling that something was wrong. The truth came out on a Tuesday. It was our anniversary, and I left work early to surprise him. I bought his favorite takeout and a bottle of champagne we'd been saving. I remember walking up to our front door, my heart fluttering with excitement. I couldn't wait to see the look on his face. I turned the key, pushed the door open, and called out, "Honey, I'm home." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, and then I heard it. A giggle from our bedroom. It wasn't my giggle. My blood ran cold. I tiptoed down the hallway, my hand trembling as I reached for the doorknob. I didn't want to open it. Every part of me was screaming to turn around, to run away and pretend I'd heard nothing. But I had to know. I pushed the door open, and there he was. Aiden, my Aiden, with another woman, in our bed. The woman scrambled for the sheets, her face a mask of shock. But I couldn't take my eyes off Aiden. The way he looked at me, not with remorse or panic, but with a cold, almost annoyed expression. It was like I was an inconvenience, an interruption. "Mia," he said, his voice flat. "It's not what it looks like." The cliché was so absurd it was almost laughable. "Not what it looks like," I whispered, the takeout bag slipping from my hand and crashing to the floor. "It looks like you're cheating on me, Aiden, in our bed." On our anniversary, the world seemed to tilt on its axis. The next few minutes were a blur of shouting, tears, and slammed doors. I don't remember packing a bag, but somehow I ended up at my sister's apartment, my body shaking uncontrollably. The betrayal was a physical pain, a gaping wound in my chest. How could the person I trusted most in the world do this to me? The days that followed were a fog of grief. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. Aiden's phone blew up with texts and calls, a mix of half-hearted apologies and excuses. He said it was a mistake, that she meant nothing to him. He begged me to come home, to talk things through, to give him another chance. A part of me, the part that still loved him, wanted to believe it. Maybe we could fix this. People make mistakes, right? But then I thought about his face in that moment. The lack of guilt. The annoyance. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a choice he had been making for who knows how long. The trust wasn't just broken, it had been pulverized. My sister was my savior. She let me cry, she let me rage, and she reminded me of who I was before I became Aiden's wife. I was Mia. I was a talented graphic designer, a passionate hiker, a woman who loved to travel and try new things. I had dreams and ambitions that had been put on the back burner while I focused on our life together. Slowly, very slowly, I started to heal. I blocked Aiden's number. I hired a lawyer. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, officially ending my marriage. But with every step I took away from him, I felt a little bit of myself coming back. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since college. I reconnected with old friends. I took a solo trip to the coast, something Aiden had always said was too spontaneous. Standing on a cliff overlooking the ocean, with the wind in my hair, I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't realized I'd lost. I had been so focused on being part of a we that I had forgotten how to be just me. The pain was still there, a dull ache that surfaced at unexpected moments, but it was no longer all-consuming. It was a scar, a reminder of a battle I had fought and survived. One day, About a year later, I was at a local art fair, displaying some of my paintings. A man stopped at my booth and we started talking. He had a kind smile and a genuine interest in my work. We talked for an hour about art, travel, and life. He asked for my number, and for the first time since Aiden, I felt a flutter of excitement, not fear. Starting over isn't easy. There are days when the past feels heavy, when the ghost of betrayal lingers. But finding out Aiden was cheating, as devastating as it was, set me on a new path. It forced me to rebuild my life from the ground up, on my own terms. I learned that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. I learned that my happiness doesn't depend on anyone else. And I learned that sometimes, the most heartbreaking endings are actually the beginning of a much better story. My story isn't just about being cheated on. It's about resilience. It's about rediscovering your own worth and refusing to let someone else's betrayal define you. Walking in on my husband that day was the end of my marriage, but it was the beginning of me. And for that, in a strange way, I'm grateful. If you're going through something similar, know that it's okay to grieve, but also know that there is light and life on the other side. You are not broken, you are just beginning. Thanks for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more.